Hi guys, I'm Allysa and I'm back with another video. Today it's time for my weekly wrap-up. I am filming this a little early, even if I end up finishing some more things that I'm not sure about. I have to go places and I have to pack and stuff because I'm leaving for vacation tomorrow. So this is now when I film this, and we'll see how much I end up reading. And next weekend you'll get the wrap-up, and I will include everything that I've read since this moment. So this past week I've managed to finish 4 different things. One of them is a manga, and one of them is a very short non-fiction book, and then I have 2 audios. The first thing that I read this past week was An Extraordinary Union by Allysa. This is the first book in a series. I think I forgot what it's called. If it's called Extraordinary Union, I think it might be. But this is an interracial romance set in the Civil War era. And it follows a woman of color who's called Elle, and Elle is a spy because she has sort of photographic memory. So she's going undercover as a slave and is pretending to be a mute so as not to say something that you would regret. And then there's Malcolm, who is a Scottish man, and he turns out to be part of this mission as well, and so they end up having a romance, and yeah, lots of things are going on, and yeah, I don't know how much else I should say about this, but I just really enjoyed this one. So let's get to the breakdowns. And yeah, the characters get an 8 out of 10. I think that the characters were really great. Elle was amazing. I thought that her abilities to have this sort of photographic memory where she remembered everything she heard, everything she was told, was really interesting. And she was such a strong and feisty woman. Even though she was undercover as a slave, she was just such a strong-willed woman. I just couldn't say that. I really liked Malcolm as well. I thought that his story was really interesting, and together I really enjoyed the romance. The atmosphere gets an 8 out of 10. I haven't read a lot of things set in Civil War era. I don't know a lot about American history, to be honest. I'm much more familiar with things that happened in obviously Denmark and sort of those countries surrounding us. But it is something that I'd like to read more of. But as I haven't read a lot, I can't tell you whether it's accurate or not. But I can only say that I felt like it was accurate to the time period, and so that's why I give it an 8. The writing I really thought was great. I thought the pacing and the structure and the dialogues were great. I was always intrigued to get back, and so I give that a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed the setting of this. I really thought that it was great, but more than that, I just loved the interracial romance. I think that it did that really well, especially considering the time period that this was set in. It was something that I thought that the author dealt really well with, and so I give that a 9 out of 10. And for the intrigue, I was always wanted to get back to the story, so I give that an 8 out of 10. The logic, as I said, it felt like it stayed true to the time period. But as I can't say for sure, I give that an 8 out of 10. And my overall enjoyment gets a 9 out of 10. I just really enjoy this, and I can't wait to read more from Allysa in the future. I think that she had some really interesting characters and some really interesting messages, and I really enjoyed myself while I was listening to it. The narration was really good. I really enjoyed the narration style, and so I will also highly recommend that for that. My average score ends up being an 8.42, and this gives a really high 4 out of 5 stars. The next one I read was Cabin at the End of the World by Tremblay. This is a pretty new release. I think it came out in May or June. I don't remember the specific month at this point in time. This is a book that start out by following this young girl who is trying to capture grasshoppers, and she suddenly stumbles upon this boy and befriends him, and then suddenly things change and she becomes part of this thing. And where they're at this cabin, and basically everything starts to fall apart around them. Like the world seems to be ending, and yeah, that's basically it. I don't want to get a lot into details about this, but yeah. Sadly, I didn't enjoy this as much as I wanted to, but I'll let you know my thoughts about the different aspects. First up, I give the characters 5 out of 10. I didn't click with any of the characters. I thought that the girl, I currently forgot what she was called, that we met in the beginning, was really interesting. I like seeing things from children's perspectives. So I give that a 5 out of 10. The atmosphere gets a 5 out of 10, sadly. I wasn't super scared when I was reading it, and I think it came down to the fact that the audio narration was not very good. In my opinion, I mean, the audio narration was not bad in that it was an annoying voice to listen to. It just didn't capture the atmosphere very well, so it's not very scary to listen to. And I felt like I wanted to be thrilled with this book. The writing was really good. I give that a 9 out of 10. I think that the writing and the structure was really interesting, and he kept short of changing narration styles, like first person point of view, and I think of a third person point of view, like switching between those, and that was a really interesting thing. I also really liked the plot. I give the plot an 8 out of 10. I think that there were elements to this that I really enjoyed. The whole thing about them having these nightmares that were the same, and yeah, that was intriguing. And this, all of these natural catastrophes that happened around them, and that was interesting. The overall intrigue is a 6 out of 10 because I sadly wasn't as into this as I thought I was gonna be. And I think the audio was what brought me down. The logic gets an 8 out of 10. I didn't find any plot holes, so I think that was good. The overall enjoyment gets a 7 out of 10. I was a little underwhelmed by the story as a whole. Sadly, I was expecting a little more from it. So this gives an overall average rating of 6.85, which gives a 3 out of 5 stars. The next thing I finished was Speed Reading, a complete guide for beginners. Quick and easy tips to increase your reading speed, increase productivity, and improve your memory, by Jake M. Johnson. And this I picked up last weekend when I was doing 24 and 48, and sort of, I was just, actually, first up, I was just reading about how people annotate, how to be a better reviewer, and I always want to be a better reviewer, but I also would like to be able to read a little faster. So I bought this a couple of months ago, and I decided to just read it at this point in time. And yeah, I don't know how to rate nonfiction in my compile system, because I don't have any characters, I don't have any atmosphere that I need to talk about, so I don't know how to talk about this. First things first, the writing, I'll probably give it a 5 out of 10 if I was to give it anything, or 4. I think, I mean, it was not terrible, but it was filled with grammatical errors. I think it's because it's a self-published thing. It must be self-published, otherwise it's even worse that they didn't capture all of these grammatical errors that I found. And that annoyed me a lot. And I think that the topic in general didn't really work. I mean, I do want to start and read faster, and there were some interesting exercises to help sort of training your eyes to see, so you don't have to see move your eyes along the page as much, so that it goes a little faster. You can still interpret all of the words on the pages. I thought that part of it was really interesting. But something I didn't understand was you're supposed to stop reading with your inner voice. And so it says like this: stop your inner voice. This is one of the hardest steps to accomplish if you learn through speed reading, but it's also one of the most important. When you're first learning to read, you learn that you need to sound letters in order to read the word, which is called subvocalizing. This is a great way to learn when you don't know how to read, but it'll actually slow you down. This trait carries on with you through the years, so you'll need to turn off the voice inside your head. Don't fear, you'll be able to comprehend the words you're reading when the voice is gone. There are different types of subvocalization that people use, and the first step to turning off your voice is by learning which ones you're using first. So speaking aloud or internally, I speak internally every time that I read. I don't know how to not do that and get the same feeling out of a book. I mean, I get that I can probably look at the words and get the meaning of the whole thing, but I won't get the same atmosphere if I read a fiction book without having my inner voice doing the dialogues and stuff. That is just so weird that I'm supposed to not do that. So let me know if that's something that you do when you read, and if that's even something you've ever considered, because I find it super weird. Otherwise, I just don't think that this helped me at all. And there was a big part of this that was about skim reading, and that's not exactly why I need to speed read. I don't want to speed read and skim read. I want to speed read the whole thing, like get every word, and I don't think that this one did its job in analyzing that as much as I wanted to. It was much more brief about everything, and I don't think that even if I trained with this, that I would become a faster reader. I just want to be around 1 page per minute, and then I read 60 pages an hour, and that will be fine. That means I could get through books quite faster than I'm doing now. So I don't know how to rate this, but I'm thinking I'm around a 2 stars for this, or 2.5 stars. But because there were some things that were interesting, but for the most part, I just didn't enjoy this. I don't think that it was useful for me, and it's not something I will recommend to anyone. The last and final thing that I finished was Fullmetal Alchemist Volume 5 by Hiromu Arakawa. I still haven't found out how to say her name. But this is obviously the fifth installment in the series, and it follows these two boys who are alchemists. They are orphans, and because of their grief, they wanted to try and resurrect their mother, and with alchemy powers. When they tried to do that, something went wrong, and it made one of them lose his arm and his legs, and the other one lost his entire body. The youngest brother, who lost his entire body, is basically a suit of armor, and the other brother has like a metal arm and a metal leg. So this is following their story, and I can't say a lot more about it because it would be spoilery. The characters get a 9 out of 10. I really enjoy where the characters are going. I think they keep developing a little bit from volume to volume, and I really appreciate that. The art get an 8 out of 10. I enjoy this art a lot. I probably like art styles from different regular graphic novels and comic books a little more than this. I think it's just because it lacks the colors and stuff. But I think that they do the expressions really well, so you can definitely tell their personalities. And it's something that I am getting better at noticing, I think. Writing gets a 9 out of 10. I just really enjoy the dialogues, the where it's going, and the pacing is really good in all of the volumes so far, so 9 out of 10. The plot gets a 10 out of 10 because I really enjoyed how much backstory we got in this one. We got to learn a lot about the two brothers and how they came to where they are now. And some of their older teachers in alchemy were introduced, and I think that was really interesting. The Intrigue gets a 10 out of 10. I love this series. It's my favorite manga. So I always read them in one sitting. And The Logic gets a 10 out of 10. Because we got to learn so much about the characters' backstory, it made even more sense to where they are now and how they're trying to work, and the different connections in relationship connections between the characters and all of that. Just I really enjoyed it, and 10 out of 10. The overall enjoyment gets a 10 out of 10 because this is my favorite manga. So this gives an overall score of 9.42, and this means it gets a 5 out of 5 stars. It's the first time I've rated this series a 5 out of 5, but I'm really enjoying this series, so very highly recommend this. Even for newer manga readers, this is the first manga I picked up, and I really loved it, and I think it's a great starting place, and yeah, loved it. So this is the last and final thing that I finished this past week. I also have been working on 4 other books that I like to talk about. The first one is The Dead Zone by Stephen King. This I have read the first 70 pages, and so far it's been about this boy called Johnny who went with his girlfriend to this carnival thing. And when he went home after that with a taxi, the taxi was in an accident, and now he's in a coma. And I'm interested in seeing what is gonna happen now, because he's possibly going to wake up with interesting new powers. That's what I'm thinking, but I don't know anything about it, so. Other than that, I have also been working on This Adventure Ends by Emma Mills. I am tabbing my way out of this because it's a group book club read thing, so every time I have something to comment about, I put down a tab and write something on them, and so that's why it's tabbed. I am not the biggest fan of this so far, but I think it's interesting. It's winning me over a little bit, but yeah, I feel like I have a long way to go, and it's like only about 300 pages, but it's getting better for me. I think that I like how the characters are developing a little bit, but I don't connect very well to any of the characters. But the fact that they're changing a little bit and they give me a little more depth to them now, it makes it easier for me to read it. I've also read a couple of stories in Night Shift. I definitely read The Lawnmower Man, and I read Quitters Inc. But I also think I read The Ledge, and I gave The Lawnmower Man 5 stars and the other 2 stories 4.5 stars. So really some interesting stories that I'm reading so far. I don't have very far to go, and so I hope that I will finish this very soon, but I don't think I'll finish it before I leave on vacation tomorrow, so. And I won't be bringing this along with me, so it'll be there for me when I get back. The last and final thing that I've been working on this past week has been A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. Me and Becky are trying to buddy read this, and we've both been making really super slow progress with this. I finally caved and got myself an audible audio of this so I could read it alongside it, and I'm now on page 204, so I've read 100 pages over the past week. I mean, I'm enjoying it, but I'm not enjoying it as much as I did the first time around. I think my reading has probably changed a little bit since then, but I still think there are some really interesting elements, and I think alchemy is super interesting, and it has a lot of theories about alchemy, and the witch powers are interesting. I like the dynamics between the different supernatural beings. There's vampires, witches, and demons, and regular human beings in this world. This is what I've been reading the past week. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of the books and what you thought of them. If you are thinking of picking any of the books up as well, let me know about that. And also let me know what you've been reading the past week. Have you any books you'd like to recommend to me? I'd always like to know that. Also, I don't know if I'll have any videos up over the week because I will be on vacation, and I don't think I'll be able to edit, upload, and schedule a video apart from this one. So yeah, sorry about that in advance, but that's just how it is. Anyway, this is all I have for you today. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video very, very soon. Goodbye!